is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, you might know that I briefly touched on imposter syndrome, and I defined it as characterized by self-doubt, where a person doubts his or her ability to succeed and attributes previous successes to luck. Now, I'd be willing to bet that most of you have probably experienced some sort of imposter syndrome before, and if you've never heard about it before, you might not even realize this has happened to you. So listen to this scenario and see if this sounds familiar. Let's say you're applying to colleges and you managed to get into one of your reach schools. So this is one of your top schools and is right on the edge of your range of your grades and your SATs and everything like that. And you're super excited because you've wanted to go to this school for a while and you got in. So you decide to start looking at some statistics and student profiles online for the school, and all of a sudden you find yourself feeling a little bit nervous. And you're feeling nervous because you're looking at these other students and these statistics, and you're beginning to wonder whether your acceptance was a fluke. You're beginning to question why you got in and whether you have what it takes to actually succeed at that school, or whether you're just going to fail because you're not up to it. And this happens with jobs too, as well as many other things. You'll pass all the rounds of interviews, you'll get an offer for this amazing company, and you'll feel like you didn't deserve it. You'll think you got lucky, or you think the questions were easy, and you'll think that the interviewers think that you're someone that you're not. In other words, you think that you are an imposter of the person that they think they interviewed. And trust me, I know this feeling can be really hard to shake, because I've been there. I've had imposter syndrome many times over the years, and it's tough. But there are a few things that you can do to help you with imposter syndrome, and it really comes down to psychology, which would make sense, I guess, because I learned about imposter syndrome in Psych 1101. The first thing you need to think about is either your interviewers or whoever reviewed your application. The people who review these applications look at a lot of candidates as part of their job, and as a result, they probably have a pretty good idea of what they're looking for. So if you're in an interview and they asked you questions and you think, well, I just happened to get easy questions that I knew how to do, why do you think they asked you those questions? They asked you those questions because they think those are representative of the types of things that you'll need to be able to do on the job. Basically, what I'm saying is accept the fact that the recruiters, the interviewers, and the people who review your application know what they're looking for, and they know the questions to ask to make sure that they get that kind of talent. If they weren't good at their jobs, they wouldn't have the jobs. They're good at recognizing talent and pulling it out, and they know the questions to ask to make sure they weed out the people who they don't want. A second thing you can think about, which doesn't necessarily apply in every situation, is bias. For example, if we go back to my college admission scenario, let's say you got into a school but someone else you know didn't. These people had no reason to let you in. They don't know you, they have no attachment to you, they don't feel bad for you. They looked at your stuff and they truly felt that you had what it took, and you should believe them because they're more qualified and they look at a lot of candidates than you are to decide whether you're fit for that school or for that job or anything else. And the last thing I'm going to suggest is look back at other times when you had imposter syndrome and see how things ended up working out. For me, this has been one of the most productive ways that I've been able to combat my imposter syndrome. I've looked back at other times when I had this imposter syndrome, whether that was when I got my first internship or when I got into Georgia Tech, and I look at how those things turned out. I didn't think I was going to be able to do well at Georgia Tech maybe, or I didn't think I was really cut out for my first internship. I've been at Georgia Tech for 3 years and I've done really well academically. And my first internship, I did a good job and was able to secure a return offer. So in both of these cases, even though I wasn't sure if I really had what it took, I did. So in the future, I know that I shouldn't doubt myself as much, because in the past, I've historically doubted myself too much. So now, when I get these feelings of imposter syndrome and I'm not sure I have what it takes, I just remember these previous instances where I doubted myself and I had imposter syndrome, and I remember how things turned out. I remember that I was able to do a really good job, that I didn't end up being a fluke, that I wasn't an imposter. By looking back at other times in which you've had imposter syndrome and you haven't felt qualified, but then you did end up being qualified, this can really help boost your confidence in the future and help remove some of those feelings of imposter syndrome that you might be feeling. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you enjoyed it, as always, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe for new videos every week. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.